On the flip side is where you can take notes as the speakers are speaking. You can flip that over and take notes. I don't have pens and pencils for you all, so I apologize. So if you don't have a pen or a pencil, I do have a couple over here that I can let you have, but I don't have pens and pencils for everyone. The other is all of the dates for our upcoming elections, so that everybody is aware of when the elections are going to take place, when early voting starts, when mail-in starts, all of that is there. So you've got that information to be able to take with you when you leave here, okay? So the next thing that I would like to do is ask everybody if you would please stand with me. And we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. One other thing in your packet is a 3x5 card that's blank. You can write your question on that card, because if you come up with a question in the middle of the moderation, if you're like me, you're going to forget it by the time you get a chance to stand up, okay? So you can write your question on there and hold it until it's time for questions. Our microphones on the ends here will be used for questioning. The moderator will give you a little bit more direction on that when it gets near time for it, okay? All right, so first thing I'd like to do is acknowledge the precinct leaders who worked with me to help pull all of this together. And the first one that we have here is Donna Marie Woodson. Donna's from Precinct 135. And then we have John Nifley, who is not here, but he's being represented by Tess.
Man, John, yes.
Tess. And next is Charlotte Thompson. Charlotte, where are you? She's back there, that's my vice chair. She's been working hard doing research and so forth for me. And then we have Heidi Prius. And last but not least, but you already met me. Okay, Philip Benson. And at this time, I don't know if we have any elected officials or any other precinct leaders, because they were all invited. If you are, if you would please stand up, tell us who you are, and have a little something to say, that would be appreciated. Yes?
My name is Renee Perkins Johnson. I'm a candidate, but I'm also precinct chair for Precinct 214.
Okay, thank you. Are there any others?
Sit down, Greg.
I'm Greg Phipps, and I'm the incumbent Charlotte City Council District 4 representative for a few more months. So I'm thankful for all these precincts that gathered together to have this particular town hall and candidate forum. Something that we need to make a choice. It's a critical choice that we're going to have to be making to fill this seat, because I can honestly tell you they have some big shoes to fill. But I just wanted to come to get a chance to see, most of the candidates all together, so they can inform my decisions as well. So thank everybody for coming.
Thank you. And now what I'd like to do is to introduce to you the candidates who are going to be running. The candidates for District 4. As I called your name, the first one that I called, would you please come up? And this chair right over here is designated for the first person. Everyone after that, just go right on down the aisle here until we have you all filled out, okay? So our first candidate is Renee Perkins Jenkins. The next candidate is Democrat, Mr. Charles Robinson. The next candidate, and I have not seen her tonight, I hope she's here, Charlene Henderson. Charlene is not here. Okay, she didn't check in with us here, so she isn't here. And next is Nora. Nora Trotman, she is filling in for Brandon Pierce, who is our Republican candidate. Next we have Mr. Richmond Baker. And last but not least, Mr. Sean Thompson. Okay, you can sit here, it's perfectly fine. You guys have water if your mouth gets dry like mine does? Okay. I got that there from, thanks to Charlotte. She broke my rule. I told her no food and she plugged in some water anyway. So, thank you, Charlotte, for doing that. I appreciate it. Okay, now what we're going to do now, I've got some rules that we want everybody to abide by. And those house rules are, the first thing is, I'd like everybody, if you would, to at least mute your telephones so that we don't have any interruptions. So we are doing some video taping here, and we don't want the sound of telephones going on. The next would be, please refrain from speaking to the candidates during the moderation. You'll have your chance to speak directly to the candidates after the moderation is, so please don't speak out, don't interrupt or anything like that. And then I told you have those 3x5 cards. I want you to please use them to write your questions on. And if you don't mind, leave them behind so I can collect them because we have something else that's coming up and I may be able to use those questions, okay? And then your questions will come up at the end when the moderator calls on you and gives you that opportunity. Are there any questions about the House rules so far? And they're the rules for the audience. She has rules for you guys. She has rules for everyone there. No questions? Okay, then let's go ahead and get rolling here. I want to talk to you a little bit about who our moderator is. To take my glasses off. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce our moderator here. She is a woman of great concern and has a tremendous interest for our city, our nation, and all the citizens throughout our country who live here. She is a professional blogger. She's a civic organizer and a major contributor to the Women's Learning and Empowerment Social Network. She is also the founder of a citizens information portal known as ExpressYourselfBlog, and this provides links to vital information online and online resources for those who have a need to know. When she has some time, which isn't very often, she squeezed us in tonight and I'm so thankful. She interviews and posts her work about candidates seeking some of the highest offices here in the state of North Carolina. So if you would, please welcome Ms. Tanya Walls, our moderator.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. I'm just going to read off this so that I don't miss anything, okay? So first of all, I want to thank you, Chairman Philip Benson and team, for hosting this important event and inviting me to moderate. I'm really honored to be a part of this. This is truly democracy in action. Whenever you have an opportunity for candidates to connect with their constituents, to be able to ask them questions about things that are on top of their minds, to me, that's what it's all about. So citizens and candidates, welcome. And I'm really glad to be here. I'm privileged to be here today. So before we begin, I just have a brief announcement. So now through 2020 elections, I will be hosting a nonpartisan nationwide citizen engagement initiative titled I Am a Civic Citizen campaign. So the initiative is an invitation for all citizens to come together and participate in a virtual, collective, positive civic experience. The operative word being positive civic experience via social media and other formats that we'll be offering. The campaign will focus on sharing civic experiences and obtaining information so that everyday citizens can vote informed. They have alternatives to vote informed. You can visit ExpressYourselfBlog.com for more information about that and more details. As Philip said, there is a card that's noted there for you. As it relates to house rules, Philip has already reviewed the audience house rules, so I'm going to review the candidate house rules. So first of all, I will give each candidate 1 minute to introduce or speak to their campaign. And after that, after I ask a question, you will have 2 minutes to answer each one of those questions. And then after that 2 minutes, you will have a time. There will be a time on that 2-minute question. And then we have our time indicator is going to be a raised paddle. And we have our keeper for this evening is going to be Ms. Tess Mann-John, Vice Chair for Precinct 145. Tess, if you don't mind standing so they realize who you are and that where you're sitting. So Tess will be keeping time here. So she's an important part for this event tonight. So candidates, as she does stop, or she'll give you like 30 seconds remaining, 10 seconds, please just respectfully go ahead and end your question at that time. And candidates are not to address one another, okay? So with that, we will go ahead and begin. Just give me a moment to get back to my seat and we'll begin, okay? So we're going to start from the left side and go around. That's the way that I'll do the questions. And then for the next questions, I'll start from the right and come to the left so that no one feels like they're slighted in any way, shape, or form, okay? Okay. So let's begin. And we're actually going to begin by allowing each candidate, again, starting to the left here. And on our left, that means we're going to start with candidate Renee Johnson, Miss Renee Perkins Johnson. And if you just want to offer 1 minute regarding your campaign, please.
Thank you. Good evening, District 4. My name is Renee Perkins Johnson. They said Jenkins earlier. I was really worried about Mr. Johnson here, right? So my name is Renee Perkins Johnson. I am a married mother of 2 adult children. I'm a founder of a nonprofit organization called Triumph Services, where I advocate for individuals who are survivors of trauma. Specifically, I'm working with individuals who are survivors of brain injury right now. I've also provided transitional housing for women coming home from prison. My focus is affordable housing. I have a demonstrated track record in working to provide solutions, also public accountability, and maintaining the quality of life for individuals in District 4. Again, ReneePerkinsJohnson.com. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, we have Mr. Charles Robinson.
Good afternoon. Okay. I'm excited to be here and I appreciate you inviting me out. It's an honor to stand before you. I'm Charles Robinson, one of the Charlotte natives, born here, raised here, went to school, came home, and went to work. We have a lot of changes going on in Charlotte, and we have to get ready to go to work, and we have to have a voice. I'm your voice. I want you to get to know me because I need to get to know you so we can work together and try to figure out where we need to go together to move Charlotte forward in this next time. I'm an outreach pastor. For the last 12 years, I've been working in the community around Charlotte, dealing with folk that are homeless, children that are at risk, and that's the experience. For the last 12 years, over a decade, I put in that work for nothing because I need to give back. My campaign is simply tap into Charlotte. Transparency, we're going to deal with affordable housing and partnership building. And I'll get into that later because she just held a sign up, and I appreciate this 1 minute to introduce myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Nora Trotman in for Brandon Pierce.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nora Trotman. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Nora Trotman, and I am here tonight on behalf of Mr. Brandon Pierce. He actually has 2 small children and another one on the way, so that is why he could not make it tonight. And I'm proud to stand in for him as a friend and part of his campaign. We're focused on doing 3 things for District 4. That's creating sustainable communities, safe communities, and affordable communities for everyone here in District 4. Please visit Change Charlotte for more information, and we're looking forward to tonight getting to know y'all. Thanks.
Thank you. Up next, we have Mr. Richmond Baker.
Thank you. So good
evening, everyone. My name is Richmond Baker, and I'm on a mission, basically. I'm a prior service Air Force veteran who's lived in Charlotte for about 20 years now. My wife and I, once we separated from the military, we were in Colorado Springs. We looked all over the country and decided that Charlotte was the city that was really speaking to us. And so once we moved to Charlotte, we looked all over the city of Charlotte, and District 4 really also spoke to us. One of the challenges that we've noticed with this particular area is that, when we first moved here, it was extremely safe. It had great schools, and it was clean, and it was very affordable and good jobs. We've noticed it's been moving in the wrong direction, and my platform is to fix those things. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll answer more questions from you.
And now up next we have Sean Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Thompson, candidate for Charlotte City Council, District 4. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm a husband. I've lived in Charlotte now for 16 years, and also graduated at UC Charlotte as well. And really, what speaks to me about this district is just really the community feeling of it. And we have serious issues in this district. We have gentrification going on. We need affordable housing. We have an economic mobility problem in the area. Also, some of our transportation. We need better sidewalks. We need improvements to our streets. There's a lot of issues facing our district, and I want to be the one to represent you on the council with that. Once again, my name is Sean Thompson, candidate for Charlotte City Council for District 4. Thank you.
Candidates, thank you so much. And with that, we will begin our questioning for this evening. And again, we're going to start left to right. So in this case, with the questions, we're going to start again with Ms. Renee Perkins Johnson. If you want to step up to the mic, and I'll go ahead and begin the question. And the actual time will begin after my question is completed. So aside from the textbook definition, what do you feel is the primary role and responsibility of the position for City Council District 4?
The primary goal of the City Council member is to be a part of a collaborative team to advocate and represent the city. We all know that you need a minimum number of 6 votes in order to get anything done. So my strength is building relationships and working with people in solving problems. So the primary role is to advocate for District 4, but also being able to work with others to get that done. It's to advocate. I've been working for advocating for others for the last 16 years directly, and I know how to get things done through building relationships. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take collaboration, bipartisanship, if necessary, and it's representing and advocating and listening to the residents, but then working together to get something done. Because what's good for the city is good for our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Mr. Charles Robinson. Same question. Would you like me to repeat?
No, I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just quickly. Also, you have in your packets there, it actually has the roles and responsibilities there, so if you want to review that as well. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. As a city council person, you are, to put it in layman's terms, you are the manager. You are in position to manage your city and speak on behalf of those that put you in the seat. Some want to make it more than what it is. It's not. We have to start looking at things in a simple version so that more folk can have an understanding. Our city is in a place where we're disconnected from those leaders. Being in contact, making contact and addressing concerns is something that we have to do better at. The city is growing at an amazing rate, and growth is good. But we have to make sure that everybody's included in that new growth, so we have to take care of the folks that are here, and that's part of managing. One of my strongest attributes is being able to be a voice and speak and get things done across the aisle. I can work with anybody. Being an outreach pastor, you learn that skill deep in your training. So we kind of got that a long time ago, well, how to work with folk. And so this partnership is important moving forward. We have to have partners in our city. We have to have partners around this county. We have to have partners in our school systems. And we have to have partners with the community. The community has to lead and tell me exactly what it is you need me to get done on your behalf, because I'm simply your voice. That's it. Don't look at me if I get this seat, when I get this seat, as being something outside of just your voice. That's it. I'm a servant. I've been a servant. That's who I am. I want to serve you moving forward. As a city council person, that is my job. Thank you.
Up next, Ms. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
Yeah, so that's a great question about the roles and responsibilities of a city council person. And what Brandon and I have talked about at length is creating communities. You know, politics is what gets you elected ultimately, but creating communities and bringing people together is what your legacy is long after you are dead and gone away, right? So we have to, as council people, work together with the community. So that's public-private partnerships. That's things like the Jumpstart Safety Micro Grant that is working with community members and advocating for families and at-risk youth. And the city's giving money, the people are coming up with the ideas, the people that are actually in the community, close to people, they're the ones that you go to church with, they're the people that you are seeing in after-school programs, and those are the type of solutions that we need are from ourselves and the council, but we also need the community to activate and get involved. And that's something that Brandon does for a living in the private sector. It's what he does is build community, and that's what he's ready and willing to do in District 4 for everyone. So we can bring more people to the table, get different perspectives, and provide things like the Level Up Plus program with the YMCA for at-risk youth and other things like that, and bring that to District 4, those concrete things that you can feel, touch, and the community is super grateful for long after we're gone. So that's what I feel the role is, and Brandon does too, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond Baker.
So same question?
Yes.
All right, cool. So what do I think is the responsibility of city council? We know that city council, our job is to hire and fire city managers and a couple of other things, set budgets and things of that nature. But what the city council is ultimately responsible for is really to make sure that we are listening to the needs of our residents, make sure that we are addressing the fundamental things that they need. So I think that safety is really one of the paramount things that we need to make sure that we're bringing to our city, because without a safe city, nothing else really matters, right? So the number one thing on my list is making sure that we have a very safe city. And with our murder rate being what it has been being, and the amount of crime that we've been noticing, I think that's the first thing that we should be all tackling and focusing on. The next most important thing, and I know this is slightly outside of what City Council does, but it's a quality K-12 education for our students. And I think working very closely with the county commissioners and with the school board, we can make sure that the school system has what it needs in order to make sure that our students have the educations that they need. Affordable housing is also another thing that's super important to all of us. But if you have a safe place for people to live, work, and play, you have a great school system, you're going to produce great workers who are going to be able to get great jobs. And you're also going to attract top businesses to your area because of said workforce. So those are some of the top things that I think are most important. And I would love to answer any additional questions that you guys may have. A little bit more about myself. While I was in the Air Force, I've been working for Microsoft for the last 20 years here in Charlotte. I'm an engineer, so I do know how to take systems, take them apart, put them back together again, and also identify when there is a problem with your particular system. Like, I do think there's a problem with the school board in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what it is, but having 7 superintendents in 10 years, there's definitely something wrong with that, right? And it's not to say that we can fix that, but we can shine a light on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sean Thompson, same question.
The goal of a city council representative is simply a public servant. Again, listen to the needs of the people, ask the people what they want. Make sure you deliver for the citizens of this great community. So that is my intention, that is my goal, to really be a conduit and really listen to your needs and as an engaged residents of the community and really be that voice that you want to be. And also to project a vision. And also for our particular district, District 4, again, get our fair share. Because a lot of times in the city, there are a lot of parts of the city that get recognized, and sometimes we're left out of that. I want to make sure that we are recognized for the great jobs we have, some of the great schools we have, the great communities we have, the neighborhoods that we have, and continue to celebrate that. So once again, I'd just like to represent you and make sure that every voice is heard, your concerns are heard, and make sure we do a great job of making our city safe, affordable, and accessible for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the next question, and because this isn't a debate, all of the questions will be the same for each candidate, okay? So now we're going to go round robin and go back the other way. So we're going to start again with Mr. Richmond Baker for this question.
Okay.
So you want to stand to the mic?
Sure.
What motivates you to serve the constituents of District 4?
Right, that's a great question. It's kind of ingrained in me. I've served, my country as an Air Force veteran, and as soon as we decided that Charlotte was the place that we wanted to live more than 20 years ago, and once we looked around Charlotte and really decided on District 4, we jumped in completely. I've been a Boy Scout leader at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. I was the PTA president at my kids' elementary school. I was PTA president at Mallard Creek High School as well, when my children were going there. And when I was the PTA president at Mallard Creek High School, one of the goals I set was to raise money for scholarships. And so we raised over $100,000 for scholarships to send kids to school. I think it's just kind of built into my DNA because people have helped me during the course of my life as I was growing up, and I've always kind of been taught to kind of give back. Another thing that some of this, I guess, the Air Force also taught me too, is to kind of pick up trash. I do spend a disproportionate amount of time picking up trash, and I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I think it's in my blood, really.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Up next, Ms. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
Do you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. What motivates you to serve the constituents of District 4?
Right. Well, in speaking with Brandon Pierce over the course when he was deciding what he was going to run for and deciding his campaign, we always came back to that word community, right? He is building them in the private sector, and he just really cares about people. As a friend of his, I know how much he puts into those relationships and how much he would put into each relationship with constituents, with council members, and be able to take that and really give back to the community, because this is all about public service at the end of the day. It's not so you can become famous on Facebook or get a lot of retweets. At the end of the day, it's really about serving the people, and Brandon has been doing that for a number of years, and he also really cares about his young family, and he sees other young families and wants Charlotte to be a place that is welcoming to everyone and that is prosperous long after he is elected and further on down the road, because that's what is ultimately important, is for a sustainable community and a safe community and affordable for his children and future generations of Charlotteans.
Thank you so much. Mr. Charles Robinson, same question.
I've been a servant for quite some while now. Part of taking on the role of a servant, you had to go through a little bit of hard work. We set pictures up around the city of Charlotte, and you asked me what made me want to get into this position. Going into the homes of seniors and seeing empty refrigerator. It's personal. Dealing with children, going into schools to volunteer, speaking at funerals because these children are being murdered, screaming about the homeless situation here in Charlotte, and getting deaf ears and taking things on my own, it began to get challenging. So I said, wait a minute, I'm doing too much begging from the back. I sat down with a few seniors and they said, Charles, what are you gonna do? We're afraid we're gonna lose our homes here shortly. You have to get involved in your district. You've been working around the city. Come to your district and go to work. And I said, okay, I'll take that challenge. Now I'm bringing it out to you guys. I need your support to take this seat, not for me. You know, doing the work, you know, that's natural to me because that's who I am as being the outreach pastor. Being a servant, I've been that servant. Dealing with transitional housing programs in the city of Charlotte. My aunt started the Harvest Center. And so working in that background for so many years and watching those people go through and being in transition, it became a part of who I am. And so now, after all these years, it's time for me to take this seat because I don't want to keep begging. I want to represent you and make those decisions that will support you and the things that you're saying that you need now. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
So what makes me want to serve the residents of District 4? Is that something?
Yes, what motivates you to serve the constituents of District 4?
I, like Minister or Pastor Robinson, am also a servant. I started my organization after I lost my mother. So the organization was started in her honor to help women who are struggling. I expanded the population and mission to serve survivors of brain injury after personal tragedy in my life with a family member. So I know how it is to be in a situation and to need help and to need advocacy. And there are so many that don't have that. So I've worked with serving others. I know that advocacy matters. I've seen it make a difference in people's lives. I know how to do it. I know how to get things done, how to hold public officials accountable. So what motivates me to serve, again, is because I know that advocacy matters. And I know that I can be a voice. I know that I can get things done. And I just want to do that for the residents of District 4. So,
Thank you. Our next question.
Hold on, you didn't answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sean, please.
So what motivates me to serve? What motivates me to serve is one word, community. Again, I've been a student organizer with Democracy North Carolina and helped organize people's right to vote to get the same-day voter registration passed in North Carolina. I've been a community organizer with the North Carolina Democratic Party and help people get the right to vote and indicate the right to vote and really organize. So again, my whole life has been about organized community, working in the community, as well as my professional life in the private sector as an insurance agent is again about organized community and really listening to people, listening to people's needs, listening to people's futures, seeing their desires, their dreams, their hopes, and helping them achieve that. And that's what I want to do for the city and the district. So once again, my name is Sean Thompson, and I'm here to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, and we're going to start this time by coming back to the left. So we're going to start this one with Richmond Baker. Mr. Baker, if you want to step up and we'll come to our next question. What is it about your experience and background that makes you the most qualified candidate for District 4 City Council?
Okay, great. That's a wonderful question. Again, Richmond Baker. So about my experience and my background, I've already talked about being a Boy Scout leader. I've also established a community organization called the Mallet Creek Initiative Group. And it's basically a group of concerned citizens who got together because they were concerned with things such as crime in our area, the quality of the retail being developed in our area, the prices of our homes in our area, and things of that nature. And we figured that when we were all kind of just scattered all over the place, we really couldn't focus our efforts and focus our energy. So we got together, formed this group, organized it, built teams to focus on each of these things. So a team that focuses on school quality, a team that focuses on rezoning and things of that nature. And through some of the work that we did, for example, Mallet Creek High School, their great school score was a 6. We got it pushed up from a 6 to an 8 through having our team focus on those efforts. So that's one thing, Mallard Creek Initiative. Another thing that I've done, I sit on the University City Partners Board of Directors. For those who are not aware of what that is, it's a group that's kind of like the governing body over the University City area. I'm the chair of the Planning and Development Committee. We've been bringing in some outstanding projects into this area. We're building a new hotel and conference center on the UNC Charlotte campus. We are also reimagining the downtown University City area. So basically where the Hilton is and where the little pond is with the Chick-fil-A. So where that Chick-fil-A is, from that Chick-fil-A on down, we're bulldozing all of that stuff and we're reimagining that space. We're building a 6-story office building. We're moving the library from where it's at by the hospital over there. And we are building basically apartments and ground level retail, and it's going to be fantastic. And I do have pictures if you want to see it. And at the state level, what I've been doing, I'm on the North Carolina School of Science and Math Foundation board and the board of trustees. We are building a second NCSSM campus in the western part of the state. Oh, I gotta go, sorry.
Thank you. Up next, Nora Trotman for Brendan Pierce.
Thank you. So I would encourage all of you to go to changecharlotte.com to review some of Brandon's specifics and his background information. But what I really want to talk to you about is how he is planning to really attack the problems that are facing District 4. There are a lot of solutions that are provided and discussed that are after the fact, and what Brandon wants to do is really attack the problems and the systemic problems that affect the community at their core. So we're talking about proactive things like reaching kids when they first start out in pre-K, coming to them with community programs that will provide at-risk youth that mentorship that they really need and will affect them later on in life. So I just want to encourage you to think about when you're voting for your city councilman and or person, that you think about how they are problem solving for you. Are they talking about solutions that are after the fact and just throwing money at certain problems, or are they talking about solutions that are proactive? Are they reaching the kids? Are they reaching the community in a positive way to make an impact before we have these bigger problems after the fact? So that is how he sees this position, and I think that's what makes him uniquely qualified for it, because he is someone who sees that in the way that the future can affect people, so he wants to be very proactive in that, and I just really appreciate that about his platform and what he shared with me, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Robinson.
Can you give me that question again?
Certainly. What is it about your experience and background that makes you the most qualified candidate for District 4 City Council?
Well, that's a great question. I'm capable of reaching out across the board. The microgrant they speak about, we were part of the group that sat down with the CRC and made it happen for the city of Charlotte. I started a group called Team True Blue with some partners of mine a few years ago, which is a Stop the Violence group here in Charlotte. We've been inside 14 CMS schools for the last 7 years to know exactly what's going on inside those schools. Mentoring those kids. We took a group of kids out of Harding High School, or kids that some half couldn't go to college. Okay, we call them the Harding 7, and we took those kids and all of them graduated 2 doctors, 4 with masters, and other ones have bachelor's degrees. And we stayed behind those kids just on a small level. Going in these schools and seeing what's happening with these families, what's going on inside the communities is very important. Getting to know your community is very important. We are building communities around Charlotte. I've been proactive over the years. Right now we're working on Charlotte Day. We have, and that started after the shooting with the police officer, where the police officer shot a young man in the Batesville Road. I sat down and talked with our mayor, our police chief, and a few other folks behind some closed doors after I talked to the DA. He's a personal friend of mine. And I said, listen, wait, and let us organize before you release that tape so you don't tear Charlotte up. During that first riot, I was downtown in the middle of it, and I said, we're gonna lose control of this crowd. And so we don't wanna go back through that thing again. Let's organize before, and it worked. We stopped a riot from happening in Charlotte, period. You know, this community work is important. It's not just folks that look like me, it's folks that live in this area, because we live in a diverse community. You have to have somebody that can work with everybody, because we all live in here and we all deserve to have a safe community. I've been doing that across Charlotte for the last 12 years. I haven't just started. This is what I've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Renee Perkins Johnson.
I think what makes me uniquely qualified is, yes, I've done community work for the last 16 years, but I also have professional experience. So I've worked in public management. I've worked in leadership, in HR. I've served on boards, and a school board for a charter school. I've managed budgets. I've done hiring and firing and established policies. So I have that leadership. I've also sold real estate. So I can to speak to, all populations. Yes, I'm an advocate for affordable housing, but I also understand real estate market and development. Currently, I serve on the continuum of care for Charlotte Mecklenburg. I'm also part of the Reentry Partners. I've been on housing coalitions, and so I just have a broad experience that includes the professional along with the community experience. So I think that makes me the most and uniquely qualified.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't miss anyone this time, right?
You did.
No, we're coming around.
You missed him again. I mean, I'm fine with you missing them.
There's nothing personal. Here's the way we're doing this, guys. So he spoke with you didn't get this question.
No, so
Stand, please.
You started with Mickey. Yeah.
Okay. This is nothing personal against you, Sean. I want everyone to know that. You particularly, Sean. Shall I repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What is it about your experience, Sean, and background that makes you most qualified, Sean, for District 4 City Council? Sean.
What really makes me most qualified for this is, again, I've been in now going on 16 years, and I've seen where in the city where we are now and where we come from, and again, I have a vision for the future. What makes me uniquely qualified is I do have a couple of plans, some continuous things that I want to do. I want affordable housing. We need to do more natural recurrent affordable housing. We need to fund that program. Some of our vocational programs, we need to fund some of our programs like Project Peace 2.0 and include vocational programs to help out economic mobility. We have other issues in our district. We have our Vision Zero plan to where we envision 0 deaths from transportation deaths. Also, in our construction projects we have in our district, we have the North Bridge coming across the university area to link the University City area with the research park area. So we have that. We have a lot of various things and opportunities. We have the Charlotte Cross Trail that's going to be coming into our area that we secured the funding for and lead that. So again, I have a vision for really what we need to do for our district and what we need to do for our city. And again, to grow our city. And as well, again, I do thank you so much for giving me the time to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start with our next question now that Sean has spoken. And we're going to start over here with Renee Perkins Johnson. We're just going to go straight back so that we never miss Sean again. Renee Perkins Johnson, if you want to stand for our next question, please. This question is twofold. What do you see as the top priority issues facing District 4, and how do you plan to support resolution?
So top priority for District 4 is strategic growth. We are a very fast growing district in our region. So I think we have to be strategic and proactive in the growth. Again, I want to work with City Council. I want to advocate for our area. I'm a strong proponent for affordable housing, but I also know that it can't be congregated in one area, there has to be equitable housing solutions. So I want to work with City Council and with the developers and with the residents and taking the opportunities and being proactive and considering the traffic and considering the infrastructure and considering the schools and the crowding and asking the hard questions up front and proactively so that we continue to be a great area, continue to grow, but to grow strategically and to grow smart. I went to a city council meeting and I saw this sign and I kept it because I want to keep that in front of me. I want to make sure we're getting community input and considering the community when we're making those decisions. So I see that as the priority, just maintaining the quality of life for this district, but also doing it strategically, doing it smart, and considering all of the aspects to make those good quality decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Robinson.
Can you give me that question again?
Certainly. What do you see as the top priority issues facing District 4, and how do you plan to support a resolution?
The top priority problems is two, and we'll make it real quick. We have to deal with this affordable housing issue strategically, and we also have to deal with this crime issue strategically. If you pack a bunch of houses into our communities, and you bring everything with it, and the police officers aren't ready for it, then you're gonna watch this crime rate rise. Build these partnerships is the best thing that we're gonna have to do moving forward. We have to build partnerships, and the partnerships have to first start with the community. I can't represent you if I don't know what you need. What's going on up in this area is not happening in another precinct in your area, but it's all District 4, so I have to serve everybody. I have to get to know you to try to figure out what it is that you need so I can figure out a way to serve you. And we have to keep open lines of communication. I need to be able to speak to you and you need to be able to speak to me. That's very important. These businesses are growing. Charlotte has a track right now. We're getting ready to jump into another level. AI. We got to get ready for it. We got to get our children ready for it. The city doesn't deal with the schools, but the city's going to have to deal with some vocational partnerships so that our children can get ready so they can stop breaking into your cars and breaking into your houses while you're trying to maintain, while you're at work. These are the things that we're going to have to do to make this work to move forward. If we don't do it, we're going to watch crime grow. I remember in Holly Creek when it first came up. Nice community. Waterfall come down, golf course. And I talked to some folk over there and they said, Charles, they're breaking into my house now. I'm 16 years into my mortgage and now my house isn't safe. I need you to help me. We got to be strategic with the police officers because there's a shortage. How do we do that? Partnerships. Let's partner with these schools. Let's partner with the communities. Keep an open line of communication, and let's grow together. Growth is good, but you need to be a part of the growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
So I only have 2 minutes, and so safety, let's talk about that, because first and foremost, if you don't have a safe community, then businesses won't come to you, and it just creates a domino effect of all kinds of other issues. So what we first want to do is invest in foot patrol officers, and we want to pay at a minimum north of $50,000 for all police officers. We need to make an investment in them, because they are the ones that are out in the community talking with people and keeping everyone safe. So we also have to invest in training for them in de-escalation techniques. So those are 3 things that we want to do to keep our community safe as far as policing goes. And then another thing is investing in infrastructure. We need to talk about transportation to District 4. We need to talk about sidewalks, trolley, the blue light, the blue rail that's coming through. We have to be talking about these safe methods of transportation, because that is how people are going to discover our district, and that's how people are coming in, living and playing and working all throughout our community, and we want it to be safe. So like I said, we need to be investing in police officers, salary-wise, training-wise, and recruiting from diverse communities and making sure that the police force is representing everyone. So first and foremost, safe communities, that is our top priority.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond Baker.
So these people stole my answers, right? So yes, safety is number one, right? And it's number one for an obvious reason, and I'll just say it in a slightly different way, right? If you do not feel safe, nothing else matters. If you don't feel safe, you're not sleeping well. If you don't still feel safe, your kids are not sleeping well, they're not doing good in school. So safety is obviously number one. We definitely need to make sure that we have enough policemen to make sure that our community is basically safe. So there's that piece. The number two thing on my list is education. And while I realize that traditionally the city doesn't have anything to do with K-12 education, believe it or not, a law was passed by the state legislature which will allow the city to also contribute funds to teachers' pay, right? Teachers' pay is the next biggest thing in my mind. I think teachers' pay personally should start at $60,000 a year. Because if you blow that up, if you make it so that teachers are making a fantastic wage, then basically what you'll have is all of the really good teachers all over the country will flock to Charlotte, right? And then what that's going to give us is really smart kids make really great employees, or they start businesses and things of that nature. I think that's the second biggest thing behind safety and security. I mean, cleanliness and a bunch of other stuff too, but those are the top two things. Safety, teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sean Thompson.
Thank you, Tanya. Mine is everyone else's, again, of safety. You know, we really have to really address some of the safety concerns we have. And, you know, it's just not about the homicide rate. It's about, again, it's about personal property crimes. It's about really building the trust in our community. Because again, we need more community-led programs around safety, like some of our community initiatives, like the Cops and Barber programs. The barbers and the cops came together to sit down with the community to say, hey, this is what they introduce themselves. This is who we are. This is what we hear, and this is what we have. We also need to do more things like and support our new crisis intervention team that the CMP is doing, which is fantastic work that the chief has implemented, which instead of going out and sometimes mental health crisis and having just police officers come out, they have a team of trained officers come out and de-escalate the situation. So we need to do things like that to improve in our community. As well, we do need to also address the economic mobility piece of it, again, like vocational programs. We currently have a vocational program, the Project Peace 2.0, see additional funding. So we can do that around that. Now, in our district, around the Blue Line extension, we have a unique opportunity with that newly built. We have land there, and we use it as a catalyst for our city for the affordable housing. Make sure we hit mixed price points. And we're looking at area minimum income. So we're looking at 30% of that minimum income, 50%. Make sure it's truly affordable. Because a lot of times, some of the price points we're talking about for affordable housing is $2,000 a month. Most families, that's not affordable. So we need something that's going to be the $1,000 range, $800 range, mixed use income. And again, my top two priorities is going to be the affordable housing, economic mobility, and also public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. This is going to be our final moderated question, and we're going to start with Renee Perkins Johnson. What is your action plan to gather citizen concerns and communicate actions you've taken regarding their concerns?
So one of the things that I thought about after I went to the city council meeting and saw this, and I've also heard from residents that they want more communication, such as a newsletter, a routine newsletter to the district to tell them what's going on. Also, community engagement teams. I'm kind of big on team, but I know that we need to collaborate. We are in a housing crisis. We're in this growth, super growth. So right now there needs to be all hands on deck. And what that means, city, county, someone from the school district, and maybe these teams of people real estate professionals, and bring these teams to the community kind of and do workshops with the community routinely or quarterly and meet with the residents. How do I save my home if my taxes are going up? You know, and bringing the solutions, or at least the individuals with the answers to the community. So to really involve the community, bringing neighborhood leaders and meeting with the community routinely. Are there solutions for gentrification? Are land banks or the land, you know, the land bank, or is that a solution? Or what are the answers? So just bringing the experts to the residents so that they have the ability to ask the questions. Community engagement. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to do that routinely, and also being accessible. I'm huge on public accountability. I've worked in public government before. So being accessible to the residents, and that's just the way that I really want to engage the public. Someone asked me what I want my legacy or my accomplishment to be. I want to leave the district better than it was when I started, but I want my reputation to have been that I solved problems. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Robinson.
Okay, I'm sorry, just one more time, give me the question again.
Certainly, no worries. What is your action plan to gather citizen concerns and communicate actions you've taken regarding their concerns?
We have to build community trust, period. That means that I need to get to know you and you need to get to know me. You need to know who you serving and who serving, you need to get to know who's serving you. See, we have to switch that thing around, because a lot of times, some folk may not have had that same disposition, and we just have to change it. I'm approachable. I need you talking to me. You know, we can't fix Charlotte without you. It's impossible. It's impossible to deal with crimes that are going on in this district, in this precinct, without speaking to you. I don't know what's going on up here because I'm not up here every day. You are. I have to have an open line of communication, and you have to hold me accountable. You have to speak to me and tell me, Charles, this is what we need. We don't need this up here. This is what we need. Come and be direct. Come and let's have a conversation. These town halls, we've already been doing town halls. That's great. You have to get your neighbor to come out. When you look around, if you don't know the neighbor that's beside you to the left and the right, that's a problem. You need to get to know your neighbor. Your neighbor needs to get to know me as well, if I'm gonna sit in that seat for you. Because that person also has an investment in your community. I believe in protecting the investment. Protect the home team. Charlotte, you're the home team. We got 100-something people over here every day. What's going to happen to our seniors in 10 years? We have to put something in plan right now. We can't wait. What's going to happen to my dad in the next 5 years in the community that's being gentrified? I care about that. We need answers. I need answers. We need solutions. The way to get solutions is for me to come to the table with you and then let me go fight. I don't have a problem with that. Let me stand across and speak on your behalf. Let me work with the folk that are here. Let's bring these businesses to the table. Let's bring the rest of the leaders to the table and say, hey, this is what we need for District 4. All this growth, how are we going to get around right now?
Thank you. Ms. Laura Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
So I think communication and being communicative is already happening to a certain extent with the current city council. They have instituted town halls. Could those be potentially more frequent? Sure. But how do we address people that might not be able to go to a physical location or be able to get there on time from work, etc.? How about a virtual town hall? How about just going live on social media sites and fielding questions and comments and concerns from the citizens who might not have the ability to come to a location and speak directly with you? And I think that's really important, making sure we're being accessible to all people, no matter what. And so I think social media can actually play a huge role in this. Brandon and I are both millennials, so we're hip on that, and I think pretty much everyone else is here too. So I think that would be a great way to engage people and keep that communication free-flowing. Emails are also a great way to do that. Some people miss them, but I think just increasing the frequency of current town halls and then offering virtual options for people of District 4 that might not be able to make it every month or make it every bi-weekly meeting. And so I think being communicative is really important. It's a priority of Brandon's, and we want to use social media and free methods to make sure that everyone has access to their council person.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond Baker.
Right, so that's a very good question. And with our group, the Malik Creek Initiative, we're already doing this, right? We use tools such as Nextdoor. Actually, Phil is in the back room right there. Hey, Phil, how you doing? We had a problem, right? The residents were complaining about the quality of the Chick-fil-A in our area, right? And what we did was we got on Nextdoor. So I got on Nextdoor, heard people complaining about it. I was like, okay, cool. Instead of just complaining about it, what are we gonna do to fix it, right? And so we established a task force. Phil led it, right? We contacted Chick-fil-A, we contacted the CEO, right? And he sent out his team to figure out what was going on with that particular Chick-fil-A. But I mean, so to her point, right? While I'm not a millennial, right? I do know how to use technology. So we would use things like Nextdoor, right? We would also use, so this is reaching into my corporate background bag of tricks. Since I work for Microsoft as a software company, we take in feedback from thousands of people, millions of people as to how we can improve our software, right? And the way we do that is through this one tool that's referred to as user's voice. It's just some tool, you can use it for whatever you want. And people can actually post an idea, and then their neighbors can say that's a brilliant idea and vote it up. Or people can say that's stupid, right, and vote it down, right? So I would just introduce things like that in addition to the town halls that our city council representative is already doing. I also have a walking group. We walk once a month, and we have a meeting where we meet once a month. So we'll get you walking, we'll get you meeting, we will get you via social media. You just need to use all of these tools, but we're already kind of doing it in my part of the city. So thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Mr. Sean Thompson for our final question.
Can I get the question again?
Certainly. What is your action plan to gather citizens' concerns and communicate those actions you've taken regarding their concerns?
Yes, so again, like everyone else said up here, again, the internet and using social media is a great tool of an avenue. So again, just being innovative, using Twitter, because a lot of people on Twitter now, the city does a good job of it, but we can do better. Also Instagram, and really kind of engage people there, as well as some of the Facebook groups, Facebook Live meetings, virtual town halls. And again, what it is that a lot of times our city's doing great work, but some of the accomplishments and some of the things that is done, a lot of times we don't know about it because you may not get the newsletter or the information. So we really need to put a comprehensive newsletter, comprehensive list together for the citizens of Charlotte to let them know this is what's going on, this is what happened in the city meeting, this is what happened in our business meetings. And again, we have to be innovative. We have to use, again, text messaging. Text messaging services there's free text messaging services, they're widely available. Again, as a city, maybe look into doing something like that. Make sure we get the people that we need to get to in the meeting. So there's all types of ideas, all types of things we can, again, to do to engage people. And we have to think a little bit outside the box sometimes because, again, it's great that we're all here, but again, there's a lot of people that need to be here that's not here in the room just because they don't know about it. So we've got to help them to know about that. We have to engage. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and so while that concludes the actual questions, there is just one component which we're calling an exercise. Candidates, you may remain in your seats while I ask. It's like that works too. And then we're going to get right to our citizens who are the focus of our town hall today. So the exercise simply is this, and I'm going to start here with Renee Perkins Johnson, and then just go around the room here. Please let us know or offer the number of precincts that are contained in District 4. You can just quickly rattle it off. The district in which you are seeking position.
19?
Hold on, gentlemen. We're going to start here. We're going to go down the row. So if you want to go ahead. You don't get 2 minutes for this. 2 seconds should do it.
Let's see. 18.
Thank you.
It's 17.
I'll go with him, 17.
15.
And then we're going to turn it back to Mr. Philip Benson to get our answer.
The answer's right there.
Oh, you pulled it up already. 14.
I said 15, but I was the closest, I think. Like
Okay,
horseshoes,
we just wanted to put
grenades.
that out there so that everyone is, first of all, candidates, thank you so much for your responses to those questions. We really appreciate it. This concludes our moderated portion of the program, and now we will begin our citizen questions. You are truly the star of this forum today. So if you do have any questions, candidates, please form a line either to the microphone here to my left or to my right. And David, mics are on there. My mic is still on. You'll probably turn mine off. So those mics are on now. When you come up to the mic, and you can just form a line. You don't have to wait. You can just form a line. Please state your first name only, and if known, your precinct before you begin your question. And then also indicate whether your question is for all of the candidates or if it's just for a specific candidate. Okay? So you can go ahead and start forming your lines. For anyone who has questions for the candidates this evening. Okay, great.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Thank you. This is actually a baited question. That's the wrong word, but anyway.
Baited.
Loaded.
Loaded.
Yeah. It arose from your, Mr. Baker, from your comments about the work that you've been doing. You don't have to.
Okay, sure. I can just yell.
The work that you've been doing around this area, like the Chick-fil-A, and my heart dropped to my feet. Because, have you guys, this is to all of you, are you aware of the Prosperity Village Area Association?
Yes.
Okay, because we've been busting ourselves about a lot of things, and one of those things was the Chick-fil-A. So if we can get in your ear, and whoever winds up getting city council is aware of how much we're doing, how much outreach we already have to things that are going on outside with developers and with city council and with county commissioners. Some other things that we know about, folks in here are involved in a bunch of different committees and things that we run. Please, and I can be happily give you contact information, or just look on the either Facebook or Nextdoor. There are things about the Prosperity Village MC at.
Is it PPVA or?
Yep, those are the initials. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's all of you don't know about it? Has anybody have heard of it before?
I did.
Oh, okay, all right, great.
I'm a member.
Thank you so much, thank you. And so for the next question, we're going to come over to the right of the mic.
Hi, this question is for all the candidates. My name is Robert. I've heard a lot of proposals here about increasing police patrols, increasing pay for police officers, increasing pay for teachers. How do you guys propose to pay for that?
So this is an open question for each of the candidates,
Sure.
and we're going to, we'll just start as we did before. We'll start here to the left.
I didn't say
We could start with him.
Okay, let's do that. Let's start with Sean. See, when I tried to go that route before, I kept skipping Sean.
Thank you so much for your question. Again, like as I said, again, one of the hardest tasks for the city council to do is again doing the budget. You know, it's a multi-billion dollar budget, and it's a very hard thing to do, and it's a lot of various pieces to that budget. And again, I applaud the current council for what they've done with the budget, getting it actually approved, which is no easy task for anything on the city council. But again, that would be just working that money from a budget and seeing what programs we have in our city to maybe we can pull from, or either to allocate for it, because there's a lot of money in our budget. So we really have to look at the budget for the next fiscal year and see where those funds would come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Richmond Baker.
Yes, so that's a really good question. So one of the reasons that our resources are stressed right now, so our police force and our teachers and our schools, is because of the growth, right? When more people move to town, they're moving here for a reason, right? They're moving here because they heard how wonderful Charlotte is. They often have jobs, right? If you have jobs, you pay taxes. And so our tax base has been increasing some, right? So I think that there is money there to make sure that we can pay our officers a living wage and pay our teachers a living wage. And it's just like with your budget, right? When you decide that there's something that you want to do, you massage your budget to make it happen, right? And if we decide that this is something that is important, right? If we have the will if we think, yeah, being safe is important, having a quality K-12 educational system is important, right? We will adjust things accordingly to make sure that we have the funds to do what we think is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
That's a great question about the funding for police officer increases in pay. And I would echo the other candidates. It's something that we have to invest in on the front end because the opportunity or the cost on the other end of overtime pay if policing is not staffed adequately, the cost of the rising crime rate, that has real people costs. So you have to think about that. It's not just, oh, well, we're gonna increase the pay, but we're gonna also let people die, the crime rate rise, etc. I would say that is a smart investment on the front end to protect our community and avoid those real people costs on the back end. So again, I would look at the budget, or Brandon would look at the budget and have to make those tough decisions on where we want to invest, but we really believe that policing is something that we need to invest in, training-wise and salary-wise.
Thank you. Charles Robinson.
It's a great question. What we have to do, we have to take a look at this budget immediately. We have to prioritize what's the most important thing that the community is saying they need. We may not be able to double this police salary. That's right now, that's impossible without raising taxes. And everybody knows we don't want the taxes raised. So we have to go in the budget and see what we have right now and to try to maneuver things to make it fit. We need these police officers in this city. We have to figure out a way to make the opportunity more available to those officers so that we can have that, so we can meet that need and meet the public safety part of this need with these police officers. It's doable. We just have to look and prioritize. It seems that anytime somebody needs money inside our government, somehow they find it. We need to go take a microscope and go through it and look and try to find it, just like inside your house. If you decide you want to buy something new, you have to figure out how to put something away or how to move some things around and make it work. That's what we know how to do as a community. That's what we need to do to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
Thank you. So having experience in leadership and board governance, I'm used to working with budget and managing budgets. So it is about managing. It's about leadership. It's about strategy. It's about stewardship. So once I would be on the council and work with the other council members, it would be a matter of being effective and efficient and looking at the priorities of the city and working on it from there and just making cuts where you need to or increases or whatever that would take to look at the priorities of the city and managing it. It's part of management, it's part of leadership and budgeting. If you're in management or manage your own household, that is part of the work. But where the accountability comes in is being effective and being strategic and being accountable to the citizens. So that's how that will be done. Considering the budget and the citizens and making those strategic and quality and considerate moves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Okay, and then we're going to come back over to our left here. Next question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike. I don't know my precinct number yet. So I'm sort of new to the area in District 4. I'm retired military myself after 22 years of service.
Thank you for your service.
Hey, keep paying them taxes. That's how you All right, just a real quick question. Everybody here is probably more than qualified to be a council member. What I want to know is that competing against the other 6 districts, right? You're going to be up there in front of that. What is your plan, your strategy to advocate for our priorities in District 4? Now keep in mind, this is a very diverse district. So how are you going to compete for all those interests and still be able to advocate for District 4 and their priorities? I want to hear your strategy, the plan.
Okay.
So we're going to, well, in this case, if you want to come up first, we're going in necessary order. Whoever wants to come to the mic first. Thank you.
Sure. So the strategy is pretty simple, right? None of us can do this alone, right? None of the city council representatives of any of the districts can do it alone. So you have to form strategic alliances, right? And I think we're in a position to be able to form some very strategic alliances because we're kind of like, so they have this thing called the crescent and the wedge and all this other stuff where, like in Charlotte, they view South Charlotte as getting kind of like more than its fair share, right? And so that means west, north, east, you know, we don't kind of like get our fair share. So I think it'd be pretty easy to establish a strategic alliance with those other groups that are also underfunded in many ways so that we can get our fair share. That's my answer. And I hope that answers your question.
It does. I'm looking for the leverage. That's all I'm looking for, to make sure what you can do to leverage against the other council members for our priorities in this district.
Oh, I mean, I could also get a private investigator to investigate them. That's just a joke, but.
That's just trying
Thank you. I got it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there any, and I'm just going to offer it up, is there anyone else who would like to answer this question? If so, we'll just continue to go to our left and then we'll end with Sean. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
Yeah, so that's great. Forming alliances is certainly part of it and being able to work with your coworkers essentially. But I think what makes Brandon unique in this way, being able to strategize and leverage different things for our district, is his platform. It can apply to the other districts. So when we're advocating for sustainability, when we're advocating for safe communities and affordable housing, that can apply to other districts. And that is something that we're focusing on, and other people would be willing to partner with us because it also applies to their district, right? So we're all working together, but we're able to make sure District 4 is getting our fair share because it's applicable to multiple communities, and we just have to make sure that we're strategic in what we're proposing and making sure that we're working together with other people. So appreciate your question, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles Robinson.
My platform is attacking the Charlotte. It's all about partnerships. You know, in order to build, you have to be able to work with folk across the board. That means that sometimes we got to give a few things to give a few things. Now we're going to represent the city. This is the city council, but I'm inside District 4 room right now. We have to play chess because there's some things that we need on this side of town. You have to let me know what it is you need and let me go to work with Valen to try to meet some of those needs. Now sometimes we're going to give a few things up and you're going to say, Charles, wait a minute, why we give it up? Because we need this. It's all about prioritizing with what you said you needed. Now we can't do everything and not everybody's going to be happy with everything, but we have to begin to work with prioritizing by sitting down, having some conversations and meeting the needs of the conversation, coming up with a plan to meet those needs. It's just like playing chess, right? You never know what I'm going to do, but you need to know that I'm representing you because you placed me here, and we sat down and talked, we came up with a strategy, and I'm just your voice, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
As I stated in the beginning, one of my strengths is building relationships. So it's not a strategic alliance. That sounds so big brother-ish to me, you know. So it's not just that. It's really building relationships and building collaboration and working on a team to get things done. One of the things that I admire City Council, they're all servants. I believe that they all want the best for their district and the city. Same thing with the candidates. You know, we're here to serve. So it's working on a team and doing what's best for for the district. Yes, I'm gonna advocate for the district. I am an advocate. I've said advocacy matters. I'm gonna fight, I get things done. But also, that's through building relationships and collaboration. So I would collaborate, and I would work to try to work collaboratively with everyone, and not just strategically with alliances, but hopefully to have allegiance with everyone on the team so that we can get things done to improve our district. Thank you.
Mr. Sean Thompson.
As we all know, that we can't get anything done without 6 votes. So again, you have to build partnerships. And again, the most under-recognized people in city government is the city staff. The city staff does amazing work. So I work with the city staff to make sure that all the districts come to alignment. And again, once you're represented from a district, again, you got to understand, you represent the whole city of Charlotte. You're voting on projects all across the city. So again, as you vote on those projects, you do have to weigh the cost of how it's going to affect your district as well as their district. So again, it's about building partnerships and really building the community. So again, the city is a large organization. There's a lot of different groups underneath that umbrella, and we have to make sure that we bring all this together. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to the right on the mic, on the right.
Good evening, candidates. Good evening, District 4. My name is George Giovanni Dorch. Last year I was a candidate for County Commission, 2018 cycle. Mr. Baker reached out to me via email, letting me know that he was also thinking about running for County Commission. My question is, well, two questions is, why County Commission versus City Council? And also, why did you want to run as an independent last cycle and then Democrat this cycle? You had a fundamental change, or what happened?
No, not really. So I was registered. So believe it or not, about 60% of the people in the state of North Carolina are registered as unaffiliated. I was registered as unaffiliated. Now my voting record has been pretty much Democratic, probably 90%. I think I did maybe vote for Pat McCrory once or something like that. But other than that, it's been Democratic. So why did I want to run for county commissioner? So like I said, it is in my blood wanting to serve the community. The county commission, they actually, from a school perspective, the county commission, they add to so when teachers get paid, the state pays most of their paycheck. The county adds to that. So I saw a way to be able to affect teachers' pay through that avenue, and also advocate for parks and things of that nature. When this city council seat became available, I still see an opportunity to do the exact same thing. Advocate for teachers' pay, but also do even more, right? So, because the police department falls underneath city council purview. So I'm a servant at heart. I'll serve anywhere I can.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. We're going to go over to the left.
How's everybody doing today? My name is Justin. It's nice to meet you all. Okay. So my question is, what specific initiatives or programs do you know of that you would like to uplift further or support with the position of City Council Chair?
I mean, let me just jump in and y'all can comment, right? But so you know, upward mobility is one of those things that's super important, right? Everybody, we talk about affordable housing and all these other different things, but you know, Charlotte should be embarrassed, right? That our upward mobility, meaning a person's ability to be able to go from a lower socioeconomic status to a higher one, we were like 50th out of 50 or something like that. It was pretty embarrassing. The mayor's youth employment program is the type of program that we need to expand if we can, right? Because what it does is it's basically taking students who may not be college ready, right? They're not ready to go to college, they don't want to go to college, but they're career ready. And it basically takes these students, pairs them with jobs so that they can get out there and start making money right away. Another thing that I did as the PTA president of Mallet Creek High School, we took care of the students who were college bound, but we also set up a career fair for the kids who were not ready to go to college, and we partnered them with various skilled labor type jobs, right? So that's what we did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then if this question is open, we're going to go to Mr. Sean Thompson.
Yes, so one of the current projects that's going on is and a really unique project is the Project Peace 2.0 project. And again, it's all about job training and getting people into jobs And again, just want to expand that to make sure it includes vocational education, career training, career development, and really make sure that we address the economic mobility issue that we're having currently. Now, again, I've also mentioned some of the other thing is, again, we have our crisis assistance team within the CMPD, and that's a great program, and that needs to be expanded. There needs to be more officer trained for that. So there's various programs in our community that are great and need to be expanded that we're currently doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
So, one of the reasons why I decided to run is I was helping an individual with disability find employment and housing. And on a fixed income, there was just no housing immediately available. I mean, literally, I could not find this disabled individual housing on a fixed income. So my priority is affordable housing. Charlotte's not going to build their way out of this crisis, so we've got to come up with incentives. The landlords are incentives some way, but there's a crisis. And so that's my initiative that I would concentrate primarily on, is solving this problem. We have veterans that are homeless. We have disabled individuals that are homeless. We've got to focus on that crisis.
Thank you. Charles Robinson.
The city has a limited budget. And so what we're going to have to do, we're going to do community partners. We're going to uplift those community partners that are already doing the work. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. If you are already out here doing this work, I need to empower you so you can empower the people that you serve. I need to partner with you simply, period. We got to let those folk that are already doing that work, let them do what they're doing, and use the little money that we have strategically. They had almost $600,000 this city, right? And they want to give these micro grants, 500, that's not enough. That's a drop in the bucket. Let's look at sustainable programs and partner with those sustainable programs and allocate funds to those sustainable programs that are already working in the communities and help expand them by saying the city is partnering with X, Y, and Z. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's work with who's already working in these communities. That's what we must do. We got to start working together to build Charlotte and push Charlotte into this next place. Thank you.
Thank you. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
So I have already talked about this a little bit tonight, but something that Brandon Pierce is very passionate about is the Jumpstart Safety Micro Grant Program that the City of Charlotte partners with different community groups in. I would really encourage everyone to look up this program because they are funding organizations that help family stabilization, they help fight crime, they help at-risk youth, all things that District 4 could really benefit from. So what we want to do is take that funding from $500,000 to $1 million for the year to be able to not just do micro grants, but do more long-term funding for these organizations so we can have a bigger impact in District 4. And that's something that Brandon has always been passionate about, and it would also create a public-private partnership and create more trust with these organizations and the city government, and everyone wins.
Thank you. We're going to go to our mic on the right. Thank you so much. Go to our mic on the right.
My name's Brian. Mallet Creek Elementary School is my precinct number, or no, location. Simple question, the hardest question tonight. The quarter-cent sales tax for arts, who is voting for it? All you need to raise your hand if you're voting for it. I'm curious.
I would vote for it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And now our next question will come from the left mic.
Hi, my name is Bruce, and my question is a little longer than that.
That's okay.
I'm a local real estate investor, and I've been through the affordable housing process of rezoning and obtaining financing for affordable housing through City Council and some of the groups that are involved there, and it's devastating. In my experience, the City Council has publicly stated certain things, certain goals that they want to make, but as you work with city staff and some of the other groups on the financing side, those decisions that they make and the requirements that they give developers don't match up with our ability to help the council meet those goals. So my question to you is, what would you do to help improve the effectiveness, not efficiency, but the effectiveness of all the various components in rezoning and in financing for affordable housing projects so we can get these 34,000 units built? What would you do specifically to improve that effectiveness so that these groups work together?
And for this one, I'm actually going to start with Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce, please.
So that's a great question about affordable housing, and it's something that Brandon is really passionate about. And I'm just going to be completely honest with y'all. No one in Charlotte is dreaming of an affordable apartment. They're dreaming of an affordable home and something that they can leave a legacy with their children and grandchildren and keep in the family and enjoy for generations to come. So I think tackling the zoning issues and those ordinances are step one, and making sure that we have all of that in order so we can provide those smaller units and potentially things like tiny homes. But I think we need to expand our thinking just from affordable apartments to actual affordable homes for our citizens, and how we can think about that creatively through things like tiny home communities and rezoning of our land and purchasing land before it becomes too expensive in neighborhoods. So that's what we do.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond Baker.
Sure. So I think I understood your question. You're just talking about when it comes to applying to be an affordable home developer, getting access to all of the money from the city, state, county. Is that
right? I understand everyone is in favor of affordable housing,
right.
And I use that term in this question not so much as apartments versus home ownership.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, tactically speaking, if I own a piece of property and I want to build an affordable housing project there,
right.
There are multiple avenues within city government and associated groups that I need to get approvals for rezoning, for financing,
okay.
for design, what have you. And in my experience in dealing with these groups, they're not consistent
right.
with what they want us to do. So my question is, how are you going to bring those groups together so that the process is easier? Because right now it's very debilitating.
Okay, so as I stated earlier, me being on the chair of the Planning and Development Committee for University City Partners, we participated in the program where we with the city, where we introduced transit-oriented development, where we basically streamlined the rezoning process. So like if you are within a transit corridor, and if your project meets this transit-oriented development platform, you can just kind of go with it, right? So I would propose that we do something similar to that for affordable housing, right? Once we kind of pick the plots where we want to put some affordable housing, and what Charlotte wants to avoid, no one wants a project, right? No one wants concentrated poverty, right? Because that doesn't work fundamentally, is what we've learned, right? But I would support something similar to what we did with the transit-oriented development, where we can kind of collapse it all together. Does that make sense?
I've proposed that to a few council members,
okay.
But it hasn't gone anywhere.
Cool. Okay. Well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see if I. So richmondbaker.com. If you vote for me, right? You'll have another advocate pushing the same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Sean Thompson.
Thank you for your question. So again, really what it boils down to, again, a lot of those decisions are made on committee and the planning and zoning board organizations. So we have that. And the truth of the matter sometimes is we do work in silos in city government. So again, we can have better communication. Because again, right now, our code enforcement office is having community meetings about minimum housing standards. So again, we're trying to get community input. We're trying to really talk to people. We've had developers come to those meetings and say some of the issues they have, getting some of the current tenants as well as getting projects done. But getting the input of everyone, getting the input of some of the residents that have issues of homes beside them that wasn't meeting up the code. And it's like, hey, sometimes our penalties for our citizens didn't meet the penalties for investors. Because when the penalties were $10 a day for a developer or a major corporation, that right there was a drop in the bucket. but if we raise it to $100 for our average citizen, that'd be a lot. So you gotta kind of really look at the holistic picture. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
So when I hear your question about zoning, I think effectiveness, you said effectiveness. So yes, that's one process, but the city has to be accountable to the residents and to the constituents. So all of their processes need to be as effective and as streamlined as possible. One of the things that we could do, or the city could do, is to do an evaluation, a 360, like you do in leadership, a 360 evaluation. Let's hear from the residents. How are we doing? And then take action behind that. So if there's a problem in the zoning process, or you're not getting the answers, I saw on the news where there was a public information request to one of the city departments. There wasn't an answer. That's not acceptable. That's the law. There's a sunshine law for that. So there has to be some accountability and some effectiveness. So yes, you're talking about the zoning process, and there are solutions to streamline the process, but it's more global. It's bigger than that. The city, and that's what I'm for, is public accountability. If you're having an issue with one of the departments, reach out to the city council, get some resolution so that you can be held.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Robinson.
It's time to start streamlining some things. Some things are just made too difficult, and it's because there's so many components trying to fix a lot of problems. Okay? And so when you go down and try to figure out a way, you have to talk to this person, and go across town and talk to this person, and go back to the same place, just in another room and talk to another person. That's a problem with this group that's all working in one lane. And so what we have to do, we have to put those folks together and better utilize the space. So when you come down, you can get a few answers about your particular situation in this place. Or you can go on our website, because we've updated some things, and get the answers and get the direction that you need, and because of the parameters have been set. The parameters to do in your building, everybody knows you have to go through this, go through this, go through this. Let's put all this together. Let's change this website up, change accessibility up, that way you can get your questions answered. And then now that you have a component sitting at a seat, now you have a person that you can go to and say, hey, I'm having this problem, I need you to fix it. Let's get these people in one room so we get answers done. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to our mic on the left here.
Yes, they say the best for last. Good day. I want to thank you all for being here. I am Janice Farguson Jackson. I live in Precinct 105. I hear a lot about town halls, partnerships, teamwork, and such, but who are we going to form these alliances with if not the residents? Because really and truthfully, this room should be packed. And I felt the kind of way that I just found out about this meeting the other day, but what are you going to do as far as engaging community to get people out, get people interested? The police, they are doing what they have to do, and they already stretched. I graduated from the Citizens Academy, and it was a blessing that those officers gave their time to work with us, considering that they're doing a lot. They are really doing a lot, and they're stretched for that pay. Teachers, they're understaffed, but they're teaching, their parents, their mental advisors, they're stretched. Everyone who's working for the city is stretched. So what are we gonna do to get, not even parents, but more residents in here? We already have programs for, my daughter did the Mayor's Youth Employment Program. That worked. She went to South Mid High. That worked. I mean, they have other jobs like Goodwill, they have Urban League. All these people have technical jobs where education with students or residents can take advantage of. But how are we gonna get people involved to come out? How are we gonna rekindle, ignite some kind of fire under people so they can come out and have this room full by the time the election comes? Right. I feel like my precinct was left out, and I lived on the south side. My kid said to me today that he wished we still lived in Pineville, but Pineville is unaffordable right now. We couldn't find anything under $200,000 when we were looking. So when you're talking about affordable homes, what are we gonna do? Even with I love the idea of the tiny homes, but we all can't live in there. I come from you know what I mean? But I just wanna know what we're gonna do to engage the community, get everybody back on one page. We're not going to be on one page, but just get people more involved and aware and let us know what's going on. outside of election time, including election time.
Thank you so much for that question. That's an open question, of course, for all of the candidates, and I'm going to start with Mr. Charles Robinson. Sorry.
That's not a problem. You said it was open. I'm like, hey, open means go for it.
Well, but yes, no, meaning they're going to ask all of you.
You know, one of the things that we've been working on right now, and for the last 7 years, is bridging the gap, rebuilding the village. We've already started that. We want you to get engaged. Charlotte Community Day is August 18th. Come out and meet some of your neighbors. One of the things that I started off saying is, do you know your neighbor? The neighbors have been disconnected somehow, and we need to rekindle that relationship. And sometimes it takes you going and knocking on the door and say, hey, my name is Charles Robinson. I live next door to you. I'm your neighbor. That's what's going to start it. And then get active in the community. There's a lot of things that are going on. And so what we can do from a community, from a city council standpoint, is to make the programs that are already existing, make sure you understand who, what, when, where, and how. And then you can attach yourself to it by simply showing up. I like to see everybody in this room come and meet your neighbors on August 18th at Freedom Park. We took the whole Freedom Park just to give back because so many people are doing a lot of things around the city and we don't know each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we're going to go to Ms. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
One great way that we can get everyone engaged and together is, of course, getting to know people, but you first have to feel safe in your community. You have to feel empowered to do so. And how do you do that? You find your own community. And something like the Innovation Barn, I don't know if anyone is familiar with that here in this room, but basically it is a community of people that are really focused on the cycle of economic waste and making sure that we put an end to that. So it's gonna have a restaurant, it's going to have UNCC students, it's going to have kind of like a garden, and just bringing people together for a cause that we all really believe in. So how do we create hubs like that, like the Innovation Barn, in every district? And I think that that's something that Brandon is willing to work on and other council members are willing to work on. And so I would love to see different little hubs around the city where you could find like-minded people that are working for a greater good.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond Baker.
So the question was, how do we get the room full, right? That's
engaged.
Yeah, and engaged. That's a really tricky question. So anyone who's tried to do this, right? I mean, I was a PTA president trying to get parents to come to the kids' school and donate and volunteer time. It is not simple. The only way I know to be able to get this room completely packed is to mess with their money, right? and I'm just saying, if we were to say, hey, come to this meeting, you know, we're going to talk about raising your taxes by 50%, something completely outlandish, right? If we just said that, this room would have been full, okay? And the reason is, and I'm not just picking on folks, right? The reason it's difficult is because everybody's busy, right? People are busy. You have a lot of, you know, single parent households. And if you're that single mom or you're that single dad, you've been working all day. I mean, there are a lot of different reasons as to why it's difficult to get people out to these types of things, right? Not to say that we don't try, but I don't see an easy way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sean Thompson.
The way we do that is much the way that we kind of run these political campaigns. You have to go door to door. You have to engage your neighbor. You have to really talk to them. You got to ask them, what are you want? What is your issues? What do you see in the community? And that's how we do that. We have events. We have National Night Out coming on August the 6th. We have 70 communities in Charlotte that's going to be doing a National Night Out. We need to ask our neighbors, hey, are you going to National Night Out? Meet your neighbors there. Meet the community. Engage the community. That's how we get to know each other. That's how we have Charlotte become a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
What comes to my mind is be the change you want to see. So I know that we're all active and engaged, but your precinct, perhaps if you reached out to your precinct chair and asked them if they needed some help, perhaps they need help and they need help getting volunteers. So it really is just being the change that you want to see. gathering your neighbors. If you're involved, if you're precinct chair, and you know, we serve and we have good intentions. So if they're not able to get the information to you, then, you know, say, hey, can I help you? And then you can commit to bringing, you know, to some neighbors. So that's just what comes to my mind. We all have to be active, and we just have to, you know, try to make those things happen. So if you can help your precinct chair and send out notifications and invite some neighbors, you know, we can't control what others do, but we can certainly, you know, try to be a part of that solution, which you are, but continue to do that. That's my
Thank you. And I believe our precinct chair wanted to also,
I just
Mr.
wanted to,
Benson.
particularly for you, so I'm glad you came up here.
Mike.
3 weeks ago, I'm sorry.
3 weeks ago, I sent out a notification to every precinct leader in District 4. And I told them about this event. I sent them public information to share with all of their precinct members. I sent them multiple notifications. And it's the precinct leader's job to pull you in and everyone else to come to meetings like this. And I'm a precinct leader. I don't know that all these people are 151ers. I hope there's a few of them in here. Okay, there's one up there, 3, 4, okay. Hey, we're in the house. But it's your precinct leader. So you can talk with your precinct leader and find out how you can engage with them and have them to engage with you. And you talk to others who are your next door neighbors and become what we know as a block.
Trust me, I've spoken to my neighbors, and I'm new to the neighborhood. I've not gone each door. I've gone to the community church. That's not even my church, but I made sure I went there a few times just to let them know I'm new to the neighborhood. People feel like they've been burnt so many times. They don't want to come out. They feel like their vote don't count. I mean, stuff that we've heard. And it's not that this room can't be filled. I'm from Boston. This room can be filled.
Yeah.
If we have, I mean, it just, and I appreciate that you said knocking on doors and stuff like that, because people want to see people. They don't want to be on the Facebook. They don't want to be on the internet all the time. There's some people who still not even connected to technology. So we still have to reach them. And we have to go in there and show them that we care. I do that in my neighborhood. I'm at church. I mean, I do my share.
Yeah.
But it's
find
just
your precinct leader
reading the people.
and work with your precinct leader. Find out how the two of you can work together to bring your community together.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, candidates. Over to the right, we have another question here to the right.
Yeah, hi, my name is Gina Navarrete. I'm not in District 4. I'm actually running for District 6. I was not going to ask a question because I'm not in District 4, but I actually wanted to follow up with the gentleman's question about the 4% tax sale, and that only one person raised their hand. And I wanted to know why you would or you would not raise. Why you're pro or against raising the tax?
Is this an open question for any of the candidates to answer?
For all of them. I would love to know why, the reasoning behind.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that follow-up. And I'm going to start with Mr. Charles Robinson.
That is a great question. When I think about the sales tax, I think about priorities. You know, I support our arts, but right now is not the time, in my opinion. We have so many things going on. Folks don't have places to stay. We just had an apartment complex on Tuckasegee where everybody has to be out tomorrow. The ones that did pay their rent, they got until December. We already don't have anywhere for them to stay. Where they going? And we think about some arts not right now. We have police officers that are missing in your community. I just talked to some of my new friends. I'm gonna call them new friends because that's what they are. We miss communities in their area. But we thinking about arts not right now. It's not the time for that. Right now we need to make sure that the communities have our police officers. That's a priority. We need to make sure we can't build our way out of this with this affordable housing piece. We can't do it. And I'm glad my friend is here today. I'm excited to meet you. But it's important that men like you work with community organizers and community groups and the city works with you. So that because you are part of it. You are part of the solution. Not the complete solution, but a great part of the solution. And so we have to do things different. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting the same outcome. It's insanity. It's insane to continue to do that. And so to vote, to spend my money, to deal with some arts right now, when I'm burying children, when I'm doing funerals, when I'm talking to seniors that are saying they don't have food, no, not right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nora Trotman for Brandon Pierce.
Regarding the art sales tax, it's honestly a matter of personal choice. I echo the other candidates and their stance on this, but it's not the government's place to tell someone what organizations they should or should not give to. If you are able, which a lot of people in District 4 are currently not able to, have a little extra change and extra money to give to these organizations, I think that you are welcome to do so on your own free will, but we have too many issues that need funding, too many people that need living wages, and I don't think that should be necessarily the priority for everyone to give a certain amount of their money towards arts programs when you're free to do so on your own right now anyway. So.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond Baker, I know you've answered the question, but if you want to expound on it, certainly.
Yeah, so I think that the arts are extremely important, right? We have a logical side to our brain, and we have a creative side to our brains. And you need to develop all of that, right, in order to be able to come up with creative solutions to the complex problems that we've all been talking about all evening long. And I think, increasing our funding for the arts a little bit wouldn't hurt. And I don't necessarily view it as a zero-sum game. I don't view it as either or, right? I don't view it as if we do this, we don't have the money to do some of the other things that we've talked about doing. I think that we can do both, personally. And that's why I say it. Yep.
Thank you. Sean Thompson.
I am against the sales tax increase for the arts and science, and the reason for that is really what it is. The reason why it came about is that we have a shortage in private funding for arts and science counseling, and a lot of money is going to groups like the Blumenthal. And again, that's a private group or organization to where I don't think we should be funding public dollars to a private organization that can raise funds privately. And one of the things now, I would be a favor for it if it was, say, for instance, went to the arts programs at our schools or some of our rec centers or some other things. But it's really going to offset some of the costs of what's been happening in our private sector. And again, if you can't raise money in our private sector, maybe you need to change the business model. Maybe you need to look at the way the quality of the shows, but not ask us to fund that. So again, the other things in that, I do support the parks and recs, I do support the teachers' pay increase, but the art portion of it, no. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Perkins Johnson.
So arts are important in building the culture and building the diversity in the economy, but I didn't raise my hand either because there are priorities. Again, we have a housing shortage, and I just believe it's a matter, for me, of priorities, but the voters will decide that in November.
Thank you. And with that, it looks like we have no more audience. So is there anyone else who would like to pose a question tonight? Anyone? Okay. With that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Benson. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, audience.
Stay there, you can, but you can stay seated. This is just a wrap up of all of it. Personally, I want to thank the candidates for coming out. You guys have done well. I think you deserve a big round of applause. I think you did a great job. I want to thank you all for coming out. And Donna is going to really come up and do the finals for us.
Really want to thank you all for coming out and supporting this, and we do want the room to be filled. But the more we do these kinds of activities, I think the more people will understand that we're trying to educate so they know who the candidates are, what the issues are. So we really appreciate you coming out this evening and to support this. And I think Phil has got something planned. Oh, he put it up here. Stay tuned for the great debate when the final candidates get at it. So that's coming down the pike. So stay tuned, and we will keep you abreast of what's happening. And thank you so much for moderating. You did a fabulous job.
And the church. Mike, Dave, Susan back there.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I have this. Yes.
By any chance, could you folks organize something like this with the at-large candidates?
We will work on seeing who responds. We can, you know.
Well, we've got 4 precincts that are working on this, so we'll bring it up. We got 145, 239, 151, and 132.
135.
135, which is outside of District 4, but we're all working together. So we were asked, I was asked, if we could have the commissioners at large here tonight. And I said no, because we're focusing only on the city council seat.
No, it was.
So that we're not finished with our activities, with our forums, so stay tuned. We're excited about doing some new things and, you know, engaging everyone. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll keep you, you know, informed of what's going on, and hopefully you'll come out and join us again. Thanks so much again for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
You guys were great.
Thanks.
I know you took a whole lot of them. You took a lot of them.
Great job.
Great getting to know you. Wish we thank you for the awesome thing.
Thank you.
Hoping the phone didn't die. Yeah, it was great.